let's talk about BTS at the Grammys. So let's talk about the performance first and then get into the award debacle. What'd you think of
Yeah.
the performance, Sid?
The performance was good. Obviously, they had to actually cut out, like, I want to say 17 seconds. So some of the members' parts were like cut. I think it was Tay
Yeah.
specifically hit one of his like solo parts cut out, which is fine. Like that's very typical of the Grammys, as there's not a lot of time given to each performer. The one thing that bothered me is I learned that the Grammys specifically asked BTS to rebuild the Grammy set in Korea. Like they didn't just say we want you to do a performance. They like gave them stipulations for the performance and everything. And like that's fine, but they were like, we want you to do what you did with the Late Late Show and like build the whole set. And they did it within 5 days.
Wow.
Like they were given that instruction and built the entire Grammy set in 5 days. And like us working in production, we know how difficult that must have been. So I just think it's really, really lame that I feel like they used them and like put a lot of pressure on them. And then there wasn't much payoff for them. Like obviously the Grammys are were considered very prestigious, but I just feel like it wasn't like a fair trade-off for what they went through to, fit the Grammys vision for their performance. Like we all know when BTS performs, they give it 100% all the time, more than 100%. They give like 1,000%. And one, I think that them giving them stipulations like that is limiting because we all know the kinds of performances that K-pop does is really beyond a lot of what artists do in the West. But two, like, was a lot of work for essentially something that I don't think they're very proud of because they're one of the only artists that didn't buy their performance so that they could repost it. Like, I don't think they put it up on Big Hit's website or on their YouTube channel. So, like, I just think it may not be something that they're actually. I'm proud of them. I'm glad they got to do it, but I don't know if they're necessarily proud of that performance, and that really concerns me. They also seemed really bummed when they went live after.
Mm.
Like they were very subdued, and so that made me sad. Like I wanted to be really happy for them.
Do you think they were more upset about the performance or about the fact that they didn't win the award?
I mean, it's probably the Grammy itself, but I don't think they felt good in general. Obviously, they wanted fans to be happy. They worked really hard. I didn't think the performance was like anything was wrong with it at all. It's just that when I learned like the things behind it, it didn't sit right with me. Like it didn't sit well.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
you go ahead.
um, so what would have been, you said it wasn't a fair trade-off. What do you think would have been a good trade-off? Is it them winning or getting more airtime with their
Well,
performance?
I think with the amount of that they used BTS for advertising,
Hmm.
they definitely should have been given at least more time at the very least.
Okay.
Like, because they really were pushing, BTS on the Grammys. They like all of their like captures from the Grammys promoting it are like pictures of BTS and their performance, and they kept releasing like teasers with them involved, and they even like were one of the last performances of the night if they weren't the actual last, which I
Mm-hmm.
believe they were. So I'm like,
They
if
are.
you're gonna give them the send off for the Grammys,
They should have done 2 songs
and
at
then
least.
yeah, at least
Yeah.
2 songs. Like they only did one song. The song was cut, and like they went through all the trouble of rebuilding different sets from the actual Grammy stage to like the Grammy red carpet, and then to that rooftop scene. Like I just feel like it wasn't fair to them as
Yeah,
artists.
now I see that, and I agree with
Hmm.
that. Um, but I have to say,
Yeah, me.
the stuff I saw on Twitter after they lost was kind of out of control. And I understood the complaining about Tay's part being cut down. That one I did. I understand, the stipulations around, the performance and everything. But when your favorite person is nominated for an award, okay, out of like 4 people, right? Let's say there's a 75% chance that they're going to lose, just statistically. And I think you've got to be prepared for the fact that they could lose. And I think BTS fans really thought the nomination was a guarantee they were going to win. Not you, of course, Sid, but I think some people on some of the less rational people on Stan Twitter. And I saw people sending death threats to Lady Gaga, sending death threats to Ariana Grande, making fun of Mac Miller's death, calling Frankie Grande slurs. I mean, it was pretty horrifying to see, honestly. And also, for a long time with, other groups, a lot of when armies would fight them, the thing they would say was like, oh, we're Grammy nominated, but you guys are just like listening to Inkigayo material, like how somehow the Eastern awards were less than. And then after they lost, they were like scammies. So it was like, so now that they've lost, the Grammys aren't legit. It just felt, I don't know. And then I saved this one reaction on Twitter that I just thought was so crazy.
I mean, obviously you're gonna have crazy delusional fans, but I feel like we all can agree here that the Grammys aren't necessarily fake.
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
but
for
I
sure.
also, I know you guys didn't like Rain on Me. I'm a big Gaga fan, and I lost 3 followers on Twitter for saying that night. But I don't think Lady Gaga is just some random. I think people were acting like she's just some random, and I was like,
she's not some
she
random.
Is huge.
But one thing I will say is that this wasn't a song award. This was a performance award.
Yeah.
And she's only ever performed that song once. And I will say that it wasn't even her best.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, it was decent, but it wasn't her best. Like, I've seen her do way better.
Yeah.
And the fact that BTS has performed Dynamite 33 times live.
And has done some amazing stuff with it.
Yeah, like their dance break for the MMAs, like their crazy, like, stadium performance for the Mama Awards. Like, I just feel like there are so many things they've done to recreate it and make it new and be innovative with their performances of it. That plays a part. Also, when I think of like a duo and group award, I don't think of collabs. Like, I don't think of features. I think of duos or groups. Like, the past groups and stuff who have won that award are like the Jonas Brothers. They're like I could see Silk Sonic as a duo because they have an entire album together. But I don't necessarily see features on songs as like group or duo.
They've been nominated for that before. That's part of the rules. But
yeah, I know. I'm talking about just like me rationalizing that category. Mm-hmm. I'm not talking about like what the rules are. I'm just saying, me personally, like if I was to rationalize that category, it makes sense for me to choose bands or like actual groups rather than just features.
No, I agree. I think, you know how I feel. I think the Grammys are stupid and that they have no credibility. But I just thought, it just seems weird to me that a group that's so kind and so humble and has a really strong message about mental health and about, just being kind and accepting and anti-bullying. I mean, that's the whole thing behind their name, And then for some of their fans, not all of them, just like a loud minority, to go in and just say some really awful stuff to Lady Gaga.
Death threats and stuff like that are never
It's just not that serious.
For whatever reason. Yeah, it's really
Yeah,
not.
not for the
Gaga
Grammys,
is a
y'all.
talented artist. She's incredible. Her performance level is actually like, if she were to go hard, she can do just as good.
Yeah.
I like for
But
sure. So like
um,
that's huh?
I think going off what Olivia was saying, my biggest issue, I think, is the seeking Western validation and not being honest about that. Because personally, I've also voiced not finding the Grammys to be, they don't really have credibility at all. It's kind of a joke. I
Yeah.
hope I don't sound rude saying this. I'm not a musical artist, so obviously I'm not gonna feel like, oh my God, like a Grammy's so special. If you're a musical artist, of course you would want one, but they've been consistently misogynistic, racist, disappointing, there it's like a boys
mhm.
club, an
Yeah.
old white man club.
Yeah.
So I don't expect much from them. The only thing that I get from it is artists that I like, seeing them excited.
Yeah.
So for me, seeing BTS fans kind of trash I'm sorry, not just BTS fans, really anyone trash anybody that's not Western for not getting Western validations or Western awards, I would just suggest you guys cut it out because most of them are BS. It's
Yeah.
the music ones,
Yeah.
not prestigious.
And
Yeah.
Popularity
yeah,
awards.
absolutely. And not just like popularity anywhere. It's like popularity amongst like middle Americans. That's what the Grammys is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And like, I'm not gonna defend all armies because I saw some being anti-black after like black artists had won their awards that night, and I was like, see, what we're not
Yeah.
gonna do. That's exactly what we're not going to do. Like, you're not going to minimize, especially black women
Yes.
winning awards. Like, I was like, I
Yeah.
will not stand for that.
I know.
Like,
Yeah.
absolutely not. They just wanted to blame anyone who'd won. Like, not even just Gaga. It was like anyone who'd won was now invalidated simply because BTS didn't win, and that's not the case at all. Like, do I wish they had won? Absolutely. Do I think they deserve to win? Yes, I do. Like, I think they were the most qualified in that category to win that award.
Mhm.
But again, like, that's my opinion, and they're going to face stuff like this because they are POC artists, and that, like, as much as the Grammys is supposed to be global, we all know that it's pretty much just a Western
And just
thing.
American
Like, they do not
too.
include,
Even more
yeah, like
specifically.
they do not
No,
include
yeah.
all of the
Mhm.
artists that deserve to be there. Like, in fact, I wish there was a more global and like cool award show that actually did justice to different kinds of music, but that's simply like not the case.
Yeah, and there's also nothing wrong with Asian award shows or even winning Inkigayo.
They're so entertaining.
They're great.
My ass was getting up at 5 a.m. like, gotta be up for this red carpet
Yes.
before the mama.
Yeah, so like
They're valid.
They're just as valid, if not more so. So
Not
Exactly. I find them really
and
entertaining.
the performances
and
the performances are great. So, I think what we're trying to say is, don't take it too hard, I mean, it sucks, but like BTS is going to probably get nominated for another Grammy. This is not their first Grammys, I don't think. And I think,
yeah.
In Asia, in general, but also just in Korea, they've been getting the accolades that they obviously deserve. And, sometimes, America shouldn't have to be the authority of all media. And
yeah.
and we're saying that as Americans, and I thought,
Three American girls.
3 American girls. So like, if your country or if if Asian countries are celebrating their own art, that's great, and we love that. And you can't necessarily expect a country that can't even award people of color in their own country
In their own
to
country.
necessarily
Mhm.
be celebrating foreigners
Thank
either, I mean, Yeah,
Yes.
so
Wonderful point.
Yeah, that was a good
yeah,
point, Liv.
so
The best point.
this is the first
Yeah,
Oscars
I
to
think
have
it's
like Asian Americans nominated in the Best Actor category. So like
Which is pathetic.
pathetic. So
It's crazy.
yeah, like I definitely agree. That was a great point. I just think that they're gonna be fine. Literally, they'll be fine. They were trying to console us with thirst traps.
yeah,
They're okay. Like,
Namjoon's like
Yeah.
back in the
they
gym,
got
Yeah.
3 new gyms,
not
y'all.
stressed.
Like,
Don't
Don't
trip.
trip.
Don't worry about it at
Yeah.
all.